What's going on, everybody? We are going to be making, as the title shows, a to-do app in Angular. So the first things first, we need to install a couple of things. So first thing, you need to download Node. Always download the most stable instead of the current, so the 10.1.6. I'm not going to install this because I already have it. But once you install that, you should check if you go into your terminal and say node-v, and you should have the version pop up. Oh, didn't mean to do all that. And then also, that installs npm, which is Node Package Manager, which you would need to install Angular. So now that you have both of those installed, and I'll leave a link in the description to the node. So now Angular, you're just going to put this command in here, and I'll just reinstall it because why not? So that's the npm install -g for global, and then @angular CLI. So this will be the command line interface. That's what CLI. I have a bunch of these errors because I already have it installed. But if I do ng-version, ng-version, there you go. You see, I have Angular 7. Right now, I believe Angular 8 is out, but there isn't many differences, especially not in what we're doing today. So now that you have your Angular installed and Node, we're going to just go to our desktop here, and we're going to make a directory, so mkdir in the terminal, and we're going to call this to-do app. And now you can see over here, we got our folder, and we're going to change our directory into that to-do app. And we're going to say ng new to-do app. And now what this does, we're going to say no, because we're not going to be using any routing. We're going to stay on one page. And we're going to use Sass today. Okay, so now that we're ready, this is all good. We can say, if we do ls, you're going to see we have this to-do app, so we can change directory again to to-do app. If we type ls again and hit enter, you can see we have all of these files. Now I'm going to be using VS Code, so the shorthand in the terminal to just use it is code dot, and it'll open up your project directory. And if your VS Code on the left doesn't look like this, because I have some extras installed, so that's material icon theme, and that's what makes the icons look nice. Prettier is just a code formatter, so when you save, it'll automatically format your document. And then another one I like to use is bracket pair colorizer, so this is a newer one here. So now that's installed. So the first things first, you can see our structure here. We have app, and you see we have our app component.html, CSS, and here's just the starter Angular project. So now if you hit Control tilde, that'll open up the terminal in here, and tilde is just the key to the left of the 1. So now if we say ngserve-o, this will compile our project and then open the server on localhost 4200, which it's telling you right here, which is just the default for Angular. And you can specify the port, but we don't need to do that. And so now you see, welcome to To-Do App. So now we have our basic Angular project up and running, but we don't want any of this in here. So I'm just gonna delete all of it. And we can just put in h1 in here. And I have Emmet installed because VS Code just has it, so that's why I have that autocomplete like that. And we're just going to say to-do app. And if we hit save, and then come over here and refresh the page, you can see we have to-do app. So we're going to change that to actually say to-do list. So now we're also we don't want to work in our app component we want to make sure we make another directory, not directory, a different component to use instead of our app component. So in the terminal, you can say ng c for ng generate component, and we're going to make a components folder, so by doing this, and we're going to call this just to do. So once you hit enter, you can see it's created these folders and it updated our app module.ts. And now we have this folder for components, and to do is in here, and we have to do component.html.css. This is for testing. We're not going to worry about that, in our TS file. And then if you go to our app.module, you can see now it automatically imported our to-do component and is also in our declarations now. So now, if we want to access that to-do component, which in the HTML, it just says to-do works. If we want this to pop up, if we go to our to-do component, you can see here selector is app-to-do. So if we just say app-to-do and put it in like that, give it its own tag, when we go to the page now, to-do works. So what we can do now is in our HTML here, we can just make we'll start off by just having a box and a button to add a to-do, and we'll display it. So we'll start off and say input /input, and we're going to give this a class of input-box. The type is going to be text, and then we're going to give it an ID of new to do, just like that. And I did not need this. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so if we save this and we come back, you can see we have a text box, and there's nothing we can really do with it right now. So let's come over here, and we're going to add a button. And on this button, we're going to give it a class of add-btn, and it's going to say add to do. And now you can see we have our button. We can click it, but nothing is going to happen. So let's make something happen. So in Angular, you can have, in your TS, we're going to say add to do. Parentheses here. And we're just going to console.log button clicked. So in order to call this method, in our component.html, we can add a property of a button. We can say click in parentheses is equal to add to do, just like that. And that way it matches our add to do here. So now if we save that and we do inspect and go to our console here, every time we hit add to do, it'll click the button. All right. So now we want to specify what a to-do is. And the best way to do that is to make a new file, and we're going to make it a model of to-do, or an interface, I should say. So back in our terminal down here, we're going to say ngg. Actually, we're not going to do that. Sorry. Just in our app here, we're going to say a new folder and call it models, and then do a new file and call it to-do to-do.ts. So now each of our to-dos is going to have, we're going to do export interface to-do, and now each to-do is going to have a title, and its type is going to be string, and it's going to have a Boolean value of completed. Don't want that. So now we can use this to-do to specify in our to-do.component. Now we have to import it. So the way to do that, we can say import to-do from, and then do our single quotes here, and then // or no, // to-do // and then you can see models and then to-do. And so now in here we can make an array of to-dos. So right here we're going to say to-dos and give it a type of to-do array and set that equal to an empty array. So now, for right now, we want to display our to-dos. So in our constructor, we're going to do a to-do is equal to, we're going to say let to-do1 is equal to a to-do, and we're going to say title is going to be walk dog, and completed will be false. And I'm just going to do Option Shift and then the down arrow to copy this 3 times. I'm going to say to-do 2 and to-do 3. I'm going to say get groceries, and then we're going to say, what else do we have to do? Pay bills. And these are all going to be false. So now we want to say this.todos.push to-do1, and then copy these down, to-do 3 and to-do 2. So now our to-dos are here in this array. And so if we want to display them in our to-do component.html, we can do a div of a class. We won't give it a class for now, but in here we're going to say star ng4 is equal to let to-do of to-dos, and we'll just for now make an h1 and do 2 curly braces and say to-do.title, and then right under it to-do.completed. And if we save this and refresh, oh, got it, error. For capital capital F for that. And so now you can see they're here. So we don't need to know if it's completed right now. So we're just going to show our to-dos. So now we want to add a new to-do whenever we get a type something in and we want to add it. So the way we do that, if we come back to here, in add to do, we're just going to send in our new to do from right here and save that. So now in here we need to grab our to do, and the way we do that is we're going to call it new to do, and in here we're going to say if new to do dot value, since we're just taking the input here, so we're checking the value of this input, and we're going to make sure that it's not equal to an empty string so that they actually type something in. And if that's the case, we're going to say this dot to-dos dot push new to do. We can just do this and say we're going to say let to do equal to the type of to do is equal to title of new to do dot value, and completed is false, and then to do's dot push to do, and we can get rid of this console.log here. So if we save that and we type in here hello, you can see it adds it. Now we don't want it to keep our text in there, so what we can say is after we do all that, new to do dot value is equal to an empty string. And so now you can see we type in hello, and now we can type anything in and it goes back to nothing. So now this is nice. We have our to-dos here. So let's do something to show if they're completed or not. So in our to-do component here, we're going to give this a class of to-do-container for right now, and then a class here of not completed, and we're going to get rid of that for now. So now in this class of not completed, we're going to do an ng if, and we're going to check if our to-do dot completed. So if to-do dot completed is false, is what this is saying, then we're going to show this. So we're going to give it an h3 here and give it a class of to-do dash title. And if it's completed, we're going to say ng style is equal to, and we're going to say color and to-do dot completed. And then we're going to do a question mark and green, and then colon red. So what this is saying is change the color of this h3 tag based on to-do.completed. If it is completed, it will be green. If it's not completed, it will be red, is what this is saying here. So then we're just going to add in to-do.title. And have quick error. ng. And then we have another error. And I forgot that right there. Okay. So now you can see every time we type a new one in, it's going to be red. And then we need a way of completing the to-do. So we can do it that whenever this is clicked, we can say click is equal to complete to-do. And we're going to send in our to-do from up here. So what I also want to do here is say, give it an h1 and say not completed. And we can just copy this here. And now this is going to have a class of completed and an if of todo.completed, and change our h1 to completed. Just say completed about 10 times right there. So now keep that all the same. And if we save and go into our to-do component.ts and do complete to-do, and we're going to bring in the to-do, we're going to say to-do.completed is equal to not to-do.completed. So this is saying if it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it true. Just make it the opposite of whatever it was. So we're going to save that now. And now you can see, if we click on it, it will show it, and then go back. Say make video, that to do goes in there. And so here's a super basic to-do app. And in the next video, we can add some styling, and we can make it where we're using a service instead of everything in the to-do component to make it more of an Angular way of doing things. But if you enjoyed the video, please let me know and leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.